Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how I built a reasonable copy of the Lament configuration from the movie Hellraiser. The main tools that I used for this project were a CNC router fitted with an engraving bit and a table saw. I copied the designs for each side of the box from film stills that I captured from the movie itself. I'm going to make all of those files available on the Instructables website and in the description of this video. If you don't have a CNC router, you could potentially print the designs in black onto gold paper, or if you have a pen plotter you could fit that with a gold pen and draw those designs onto wood or paper and then lacquer that. Alongside this video or Instructable, I'm going to be making two other shorter instructional videos. One about how I used Easel to output Gcode for my CNC router, even though it's not Gerbil or Xcarve, and another video about how I captured the designs for the cube from movie stills and kind of corrected them for the orientation of the cube in the movie, and that could be useful if you want to copy any other movie prop. In the movie, the box is made of a dark wood. I used dark wood veneer. I'm not entirely sure what wood it was because it came from a bulk pack of veneer that my friend bought on eBay. What is important is that the wood should be able to take a good polish, so it's wise to check that first with a very fine sandpaper before you commit to making the box out of a particular wood. A lot of the steps here are made a little bit more complicated because I used strips of the veneer. If you have a sheet of veneer which is large enough to get 6 8x8cm squares out of it, then you obviously don't need to bother lining all these strips up, etc. If you have a nice 6mm thick sheet of the wood that you want to use, obviously this would be even easier because you wouldn't need to bother gluing down veneer, etc. I'm laying a piece of wood on top of the veneer now and weighing it down. The wood should just spread the weight of these weights and make sure that the veneer is glued down flat. Once the glue dried, which took about 24 hours, I asked my friend Savas to cut the veneer strips out on the table saw. This first set of cuts just establishes a straight line on each strip, which is 90 degrees to the end of the piece of wood. Next, Savas tilted the blade to exactly 45 degrees and cut the first mitered edge on each strip. He set the guide to about 67mm, meaning the face of this piece was about 8cm wide. Then he cut a 45-degree angle onto the other edge of each strip. Make a note of the distance between the guide and the blade because you'll need to set it up again very soon. Using the sledge, Savas cut as many 8cm squares from each strip as possible. He used the width of the strip to set the stop on the table saw sledge to make sure the pieces were exactly square. This was basically 8cm, but using the piece itself ensured perfect accuracy. Savas tilted the blade to 45 degrees again and set the guide the same distance away as it was earlier. Then he cut 45 degrees on all the edges which weren't already 45 degrees. The sides fit together very well with hardly any gap along the joins. I used Easel to generate Gcode from the images I created from the movie. The definition I could get out of the images was reduced because I used a 0.8mm spherical ended engraving bit. However, I suspect that using Vcarve and a V-bit you could get some really nice results out of the same images. I found I had to play around with the smoothing control a little bit because the curved edges within the image weren't coming out curved to start with. The white areas within the design correspond to the gold, so I needed to invert the image because the gold needs to be recessed in order to take the gold paint. Because the veneer is only 1mm thick, I set the cut depth to 0.2mm. In actual fact, I couldn't get the veneered wood to sit perfectly flat within the machine, so the cut depth probably varied between 0.1 and 0.5mm. As long as it didn't go through the veneer, that's fine. If you had an Xcarve or gerbil machine, you could essentially just press print now after putting the piece in the machine, obviously. But because I don't have one of those machines, I'm going to export the Gcode. I'm going to make another video about how to use that Gcode with other styles of CNC router. I used double-sided tape to hold down the wood in the machine. If you have a vacuum table, then good for you. My machine is actually optimised to cut plates out of aluminium, so it's quite slow but very accurate. I imagine that using an Xcarve you can get these things cut out pretty quick. I saved all the dust created when engraving because I'm going to use that to create wood filler in a later step. I made a bit of a mistake here. I should have masked off the sides before trying to apply the wood filler. So you see there's no masking tape there, and I almost ruined the design. So it's far better to mask off all the gold areas, and then you can apply the wood filler without worrying about messing up the gold design. Thanks for watching. If you're watching this video on Instructables, please head to my YouTube channel. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please head to my Instructables channel and subscribe. If you make one of these, please let me know down in the comments. If you're interested in CNC machines, open source projects, electronics, various things, please do subscribe. I'm probably going to get kind of hooked on making movie props as well, so keep checking my channel to see if I've done any more downloadable designs, etc., etc.